97 reports that the 1918 killer virus was a triple reassortment novel virus. We'll hear that term again, novel. 2003, Tobin-Berger completes the resurrection of the 1918 virus. What we have here is a grave marker to the mass casualties in Alaska in 1918 and 19. Whole villages were wiped out by this virus. 2003, Tobin-Berger begins work on a triple virus vaccine at NIH. Hey, let me give you a clue. Anybody who can reverse engineer a virus already has the vaccine, okay? All you gotta do is put it in a hypodermic syringe. So by 2004, a company in California called Chiron produces a hot triple virus flu vaccine. What's hot about it? It means it was contaminated and it caused problems. By 2005, the biggest vaccine manufacturer on the planet, Novartis, based in Basel, Switzerland, takes over Chiron. And in November of 2005, Novartis applies for a triple virus vaccine patent. And a boy who received that vaccine in 2005 died from the flu shot. Who would have thunk it? 2007, MedImmune applies for a live triple virus vaccine. More players getting into the act, and eventually they come out with a product called Flu Mist, the one that's being squirted up your child's nose at school, also in the military. The Flu Mist patent is granted and is assigned to, of all people, Dr. Jeffrey Tobin-Berger and NIH. How did MedImmune know to produce a virus that would be right in time for the 2009 epidemic? Some people have all the luck, don't they? So in February of 2009, Novartis' patent for a new vaccine was granted, and in March, lo and behold, just in the nick of time, we have a Mexican outbreak. And by April, WHO issues a global alert. By June, WHO issues a pandemic level 6. And by July, WHO makes a ruling to all member nations. Flu vaccine is mandatory in all countries. That would equal about 4.9 billion doses. Target groups: health workers, pregnant women, healthy children, healthy young adults, 15 to 49. Is it time to push the panic button yet? The World Health Organization, a member of the United Nations, it's a part of the United Nations, I should say. They have a strategic advisory group of experts. That's how they come up with these great decisions. Guess who sits on that strategic advisory group of experts? You guessed it, Big Pharmacy. Baxter's there. Novartis has a representative. GlaxoSmithKline, Sanofi Pasteur, and many unnamed others. Is the vaccine safe? Well, according to Anthony Fauci, it is. And how do they know that? Because NIH-sponsored clinical trials that have been underway since July of 2009. And they're going to be completed in April of 2010. But guess what? Mass vaccination has already begun in October of 2009. Is there something wrong with that picture? What's in the shot anyway? All kinds of stuff. Chicken embryos, because they make the vaccine in eggs. The H5N1, the bird flu, the one with the mortality rate of 60%, why would they put that in an influenza vaccine? Makes you scratch your head and wonder why. Virus culture, chemical index, alpha tocopherol, that's vitamin E, that sounds good, right? What about this? Aluminum adjuvant. Aluminum, like the toxic metal that causes Alzheimer's and other neurological disorders. ASO3 adjuvant. Look at that. Those are toxic chemicals. That is very, very dangerous. Formaldehyde, you mean the stuff that they use to preserve dead bodies? Sure. Look at that list. Squalene. Squalene was implicated in Gulf War syndrome that left about 35% of Gulf War veterans disabled and thousands dead from the anthrax vaccine that they received that contained squalene. Thimerosal, what's that? Mercury. There's enough mercury in a vaccine shot that if that was squirted into the water supply of a city, they would say the water is not fit to drink anymore. So what's it doing in vaccines? Well, it works, right? Well, not in babies. 51 studies of 294,000 children concludes no more effective than placebo. Placebo means sugar pill. It's not effective in children. When they looked at 800 children with asthma, they concluded no reduction in asthma, ER visits, hospitalizations. Well, what about adults? Well, 48 studies that looked at 66,000 adults concluded vaccination reduced the risk of influenza by 6% and the number of missed work days by 0.16 days. Hey, that's about an hour. Not in the elderly. 64 studies showed no significant benefit for nursing home residents or community residents. Well, what are they giving this stuff for? Well, we all know that vaccinations eliminate diseases and save lives. Well, this is a complicated slide here, but what it basically shows is that all infectious diseases were on decline. Going back to 1900, all infectious diseases, measles, whooping cough, diphtheria, scarlet fever, all were in decline long before the vaccines were introduced where these arrows indicate. They were already disappearing. The vaccines didn't do it. And this slide pretty much shows the same thing. So, where are we going to get all the vaccine? The 4.9 billion doses are ordered by the WHO. Where are we going to get all that vaccine? Where are we going to get 300 million or so for the U.S.? Well, from the same strategic advisory group of experts. They know how to line their own pockets at $10 to $20 a pop. That really is more than $49 billion a year, especially after they decide how many doses you're going to need. Now, you're a citizen, right? You have your rights, right? You can refuse it, right? Well, don't be so quick. Because here's Executive Order 13375 that was actually signed by the Bush White House. Look down here, the date, April 1st, April Fools. And basically it talks about executive orders that allow the president to declare martial law. Whenever an influenza caused by a novel or re-emergent influenza viruses that are causing or have the potential to cause a pandemic. In other words, they can declare it whether or not there actually is an emergency or not, whether or not there is a pandemic, if someone thinks there's the potential. Well, here we go. And here's the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act of 2006. Read this. The Secretary of Health and Human Services can make a determination that, quote, a disease, health condition, or threat constitutes a public health emergency and may recommend, quote, the manufacture, testing, development, administration, or use of one or more covered countermeasures. In other words, vaccines. Brought to you care of Cheney and Bush. Well, can you really refuse? Well, maybe. In Massachusetts, they may fine you $1,000 a day, possible arrest and detention. And after this slide was put together, I found out police are being trained to forcibly administer vaccinations to unwilling subjects. In Iowa, there's a pending law that covers home quarantining and facility quarantining. Can anyone say FEMA camps? And they already have 800 ready. H.R. 645 begins with the establishment of national emergency centers, which can mandate that, quote, U.S. Homeland Security use no fewer than 6 existing detention facilities in each of the existing FEMA regions to provide aid to individuals and families in the event of a declared emergency or natural disaster. Hey, guess what? President Obama just declared a national emergency last Friday, the 24th of October. Has change come yet? Well, ask this question. Has President Obama repudiated and nullified the executive orders put in place by Bush and Cheney? We might as well add Clinton.